Today we're going to paint an alternative skin colour. I think it looks pretty good for a group of miniatures, like for example the Crypt Flayers, and also Crypt Horrors, and I've also done it with the Crypt Ghouls. So we started off with a black undercoat. Next I've used Rackar Flesh, and now I'm using Agvax Earthshade. With this first colour I applied the colour twice. Depending on the thickness of the paint, you may even want to do it a third time. And next, the entire model will be covered with the Agvax Earthshade. And the first colour, or should I say coat, isn't going to make it too dark. Next, we're using Rackar Flesh again. I'm not going to apply any onto the inside of the wings. I'm just going to do it on the rest of the miniature. But for the purpose of the video, I'm just going to show it on the wings. The rest has already been painted. And I'm covering all of this top edge of the wing. One thing I would suggest is where we have these holes in the wing, you want to catch the bottom edge, and then if you look, you've got areas where it's darker. So these areas where you've got it darker, you want to catch the line which is underneath the dark area, but you don't need to catch all of the lines. In fact, in some ways I think it's better not to, because it will help later on to give a little bit of contrast by having some of the lines being more prominent than others. Another thing I'll point out here is, especially in some of these larger areas, hopefully you can see that I haven't tried to make this so it's a perfect smooth line going across. It's slightly more jagged and rough, and the reason why I've done this is the next coat of paint, when it's applied, it will help that to actually blend in. So sometimes it's actually better to not have perfectly smooth finished lines. It will give it a slightly more natural look. So for the next coat, you want to apply a thin glaze of Agvax Earthshade to the entire miniature. This gives you a difference of how it looks without that wash, how it looks with the wash. So you can see it's starting to get progressively darker. The previous coat we've applied, if you wanted to, you could keep on doing it over and over, applying the Rackar Flesh for the lighter areas, and then applying the Agvax Earthshade over it afterwards. And with multiple coats, it will slowly make the miniature look darker, and yet it will produce these nice highlights. And if it was a character model, I think I would do more coats. However, for the standard model, there's only so much time you want to put into a model. What I'm going to do next is the hair areas. So I'm going to use null oil, and I'm going to just cover the hair to make the hair look darker. Give you an idea what it's looking like for the difference. I will probably apply a second coat of the null oil on all of the areas where you've got the hair. So not just this on the back, but there's a piece in the groin area, and there's some on the back of the legs as well. Now that the black wash has dried on the third areas, you can see that although it's slightly darker, it actually keeps the base colour by doing it this way as opposed to using a different colour of brown. Next, we've got the claws. Because although the model's actually a brown colour, it's actually quite a light colour. So instead of painting the claws a bone colour like I normally would, I've decided to paint them black, and I just want to give them a slight bit of white on the edge, just to make the edges stand out just a little bit. For the teeth, I applied Ubshapti bone first, then for the edges of the teeth I used Screaming Skull. Next we're going to apply some null oil to cover the whole of the mouth area, and this will cover the cracks in between the teeth and inside the mouth. If you like the video, remember to like, share, and click on the button on the lower right hand side to subscribe.